With regard to sleep and drowsy driving, what are the first stages in this process that we want to tackle? I happen to think that media can play a very important role in this, but that there are other strategies and approaches that can play a much larger role than media, especially at this stage. And I think that the McKinsey report, Arianna, could be crucial, could be key, because a lot of the change will come from within the corporate sector and the culture change that can occur there. And at a later stage, in a more powerful way, it'll spread to the culture as a whole.
With alcohol, I think you started with a sort of an advantage in terms of messaging, because everybody already knew that drinking and driving was probably not a good idea. It's just that we didn't stigmatize it earlier, and you did. With sleep, it seems like a more elusive problem to get to the first base. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think we need to start with kind of baby steps. Could people like one night per week kind of commit that on Sunday evenings to get a good start for the week? Or first Sundays, the first Sunday of each month is going to be the night that you experiment with how you will feel come Monday morning if you've gotten a solid night's sleep. And I have a slogan, Mark, I'm not sure it relates to the driving, but it does to the whole sleep issue, and it's give it a rest.
So I love Jay. He and I have worked together for many years on many campaigns, and I think he's a genius in terms of understanding the language, but I have to profoundly disagree with him here, because I don't think we can afford baby steps. I think this is a real international, life-threatening problem. We're discussing drowsy driving here, but it's affecting every aspect of our lives. I think Charles can give us the data on how it's affecting heart disease and diabetes and cancer, not to mention terrible decision-making in politics, in corporations, in media. So I'm sorry, we cannot afford baby steps. We cannot afford resting one night a week. We have to realize that we have been operating under this delusion, and we need to change the way we live, and we need to work at every level, from what Mark is doing, and we are so incredibly lucky to have someone heading NHTSA whose work before he headed NHTSA involved sleep and understood sleep profoundly, and who also understands language. I think all these things are I believe, are happening for a reason. We're tapping into a great moment in the zeitgeist, and we all need to use all our resources, imagination, money, connections, everything, to create a critical mass and see a fundamental shift now, not 28 years from now.
In a sense, I've been thinking about it, you're playing the role in that exchange of a Bernie Sanders, and I'm playing the role of Hillary. And I'm saying, let's get practical, and let's really talk concretely, nuts and bolts. What can we achieve given the current climate, et cetera? And in a sense, we're in agreement, because really what I'm saying is I think we need to think it through systematically in terms of a series of stages over a period of time. I think what we can attempt to do as a society with interventions is large scale, but I do believe that in terms of individual behavior change, the changes will be incremental and not macro. People have to slowly but surely, the QE2 doesn't change direction suddenly. If the Titanic had it, was able to do that, it would have done much better.
Except as Charles would say, this is not sudden. I mean, look at a lot of the studies that Charles has brought up are decade-old studies. This is not new. I think what is new is the growing awareness about the dangers of sleep deprivation, and also the fact that we now have some amazing new pioneers, like athletes. I think it's incredibly significant that athletes who are so admired around the world are now using sleep as a performance enhancement tool. And I have examples in the book of people like Andre Iguodala from the Golden State Warriors and Kobe Bryant, who improved their sleep, track their stats, and they actually now have become the biggest champions.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady goes to sleep
And
every
Tom
night
Brady,
at 8:30 in the
yes.
evening
So I think
because he has to be there at the practice field by 5:30.
so. This directly contradicts, the cultural assumption that if we're really go-getters and winners, we are not going to sleep for 8 hours because I'll sleep when I'm dead, as the John Bon Jovi song put it.